Happy birthday tomorrow, Hubble, 30 years young. Dr. Brad Tucker and I dive into this, talking science, story of the week.
Across Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts and YouTube, this is Talking Science with Dr. Brad Tucker and Matt Miller.
Alrighty, Brad, well, our last story of the week, and for everyone listening to us on Tuesday, this is up on Saturday. For everyone catching the deep dive into this story on Friday, this is tomorrow. Hubble's turning 30.
Yeah, launched April 24th, 1990. It's been in orbit for 30 years, or it will be on 30 years on Saturday. And it's quite remarkable how it came to be. And it's also remarkable that it's still there and it's still kicking scientific butt. It's the gold standard of space telescopes. It's the Rocky of boxers. It's the Babe Ruth of baseball players.
The thing I love about it is that it wasn't always going to be the Rocky of space telescopes, because it had a bit of a rough start.
It had a really rough start. It took a while to get up to launch. It took the better part of 15 years from kind of start to actually launch. So this is the project that started in the 70s in terms of its build and growing. Yet when the Hubble Space Telescope was launched, there was a problem, and that is the mirror of the telescope, the main mirror, was slightly installed wrong. And we're not talking about, it's on a giant edge. How did you miss it? It's just ever so slightly, kind of like if you wear glasses and you slightly tilt your glass, where you can still see through it, but it's slightly weird, but maybe you can compensate, maybe you can deal with it. Well, in space, yeah, you can kind of deal with it, but at the precision they need, the first images were really blurry, and their giant billion-dollar space telescope was producing blurry images, and that's not a good thing.
It was a bit of a letdown in mission control, I think, when the first images came through.
That's right. Everyone's expecting, it's not going to be the best image, but wow, look at our hunky new telescope. It's like when you get any new toy out of the box and you want to plug it in into work, and then it doesn't work. Or you don't have the computer drivers, or, oh, crap, I didn't have that cord. That was the equivalent of this, except $2 billion worth.
The brilliant thing with it, though, was that NASA had a space shuttle at the time, a rolling laboratory that they could go up and fix it, to which they did. And from then, the rest is history, as they say, and these images that have been beaming back for the better part of 3 decades have changed and shaped our understanding of the universe.
That's right. I mean, I think it is important to talk about why it was successful, and that is because of linking in with the space shuttle and being built to be serviced by the space shuttle. The Hubble Space Telescope had 4 service missions, as it's called. So 4 different missions where astronauts went. So the first one was really fixing the lens, fixing the mirror, but they added new batteries, they topped up the fuel, they put in new cameras and instruments, they kept it going. So, the Hubble Space Telescope as of today is actually quite different from the Hubble Space Telescope in 1990. So they kept those upgrades, they kept those things that we do to things on time, all the time on Earth. We upgrade our phones or computers, we upgrade telescopes. But here they're able to upgrade it and keep it going, and it's been producing new science, So in the first rounds, they would discover things, and then they build new cameras to follow up and build on those discoveries. And that's what is the great thing about it. A way of quantifying this is when you apply to a telescope, you apply for time. So you have this idea, you write a proposal, it goes to an independent body where all the proposals are assessed, and this group says, all right, well, these are the best ones. And so they weight best ideas versus how much time. You might have a very good idea, but if you want all of the Hubble Space Telescope for 3 years to yourself, you're probably not going to get it. And so what we call is, how in demand it is. Now, most telescopes on the ground, the smaller ones, you get about 2 to 3 times as many proposals there is time. So you only get a half or a third of the people are successful. The bigger ones are 4 to 5. Hubble is usually anywhere between 15 and 20 times the allowed time. I mean, that's how in demand it is. I mean, it is just indescribable for a 30-year-old telescope.
Which means that there would be a wait list a mile long, and you would hope that it's going to keep on serving. for everyone's missions.
People keep proposing and keep getting ideas, and you don't get it this year, so you try again, and then you get new ideas. The list actually just builds. It just increases. It's like your home DIY to-do list. You think you do one thing, but you realize, oh, well, the list is growing, not shrinking here. And that's right. We hope the Hubble Space Telescopes can keep going on. There's no more service missions planned. The last one, which was one of the last space shuttle missions, was it. So it hasn't been serviced in 10 years, and it's still going strong, and it will kind of be run into the ground, so to speak. They'll do as much as they can until it can't observe anymore. And so you do hope that it will last. And the exciting thing now, and we've talked about this, is the new replacement Hubble Space Telescope, the James Webb Space Telescope. Even though it's delayed, because Hubble keeps going on, we may have both at one time. And that is a really exciting option that people are thinking about now, having two really cool, awesome space telescopes at the same time. We never thought that was going to happen.
So what is the future for Hubble? It's going to be used until it can't be used anymore. Then what happens to it? Does it sit up there and become a monument to all of this research and study that it helped carry out?
Yeah, so, this is a great question, because at this point it will be. It is in low Earth orbit, so that means that eventually it will re-enter the Earth's atmosphere, but it is a really, archaeologically important piece. There's Alice Gorman, who's a researcher in South Australia, does space archaeology, because there is an aspect of human history and evolution and culture in our space. And Hubble's one of them. You just don't want it to burn up into a sad piece of space junk. So either you somehow prop it up so it stays up there for thousands of years, because you could slightly use the last fuel to move it into a higher orbit so it stays there for longer, or eventually it will come back down and burn up in the Earth's atmosphere, which is a very sad ending to something that's so important.
Well, there is the MEV mission, the Mission Extender Vehicle. We
Yes.
could just attach one of those to it and chuck it into lunar orbit.
That's right. That's right. And that's the thing, is there's so much time not to fix it or repair it or extend its life, but to keep it as an object, a historical object, that there will be options in the future. So I think everyone's realizing, with the evolution of how things are going in space, there will probably be an option, a way of preserving it to some degree, which is that defining moment and that hopeful moment, because it is a good piece. Maybe in 20 years, someone will be able to actually attach it and safely bring it back down to Earth, and we can keep it as a piece of, in the Smithsonian Museum or something like that.
Now that would be very cool. Hubble next to the Starship Enterprise.
Why not? And the Apollo 11 capsule. Those three things.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. So you probably could do that in 20 years, and it will definitely be up there for decades. That it's not going to come down anytime soon.